Evan Hale never imagined his life could change because of one small joke. He was a quiet human engineer who lived on Titan Station, a busy outpost near Saturn. Every day felt the same to him: long work hours, cold metal halls, and silence. He had no family on the station, no close friends, and no one waiting for him at the end of the day. Sometimes, to make his life feel lighter, he made small jokes with his coworkers. Most of them ignored him, but one day, during lunch break, he joked louder than usual. "I think I need a wife," Evan said. "Maybe a strong one who can protect me." Everyone laughed for a moment. He laughed too. It was nothing, just a joke. Something to make the boring day feel less empty. But far away, in a dark corner of the galaxy, someone heard that joke. Someone who was not human. Someone who took the joke as a promise. That night, Titan Station felt different. The lights flickered without warning. Strange shadows moved across the long hallways. Evan felt a cold chill running across his neck, but he ignored it. He thought it was just the old power grid misbehaving. He walked home through the narrow corridor leading to his room. His boots echoed softly against the metal floor. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Then the alarms suddenly went off. Warning! Unknown ship approaching. Red lights flashed everywhere. People ran across the halls. Evan stood still for a second, confused. Titan Station was in a safe zone. No one ever attacked it. There was nothing valuable here. But the alarms did not stop. Warning! Hull breach detected at Dock 4. Evan's heart hit his ribs. Dock 4 was close to his room. He ran. As he reached the corridor near Dock 4, the air felt heavy, like something powerful was inside the station now. The lights dimmed, and the hallway froze in silence. Evan could hear his breathing, quick, sharp, scared. A long, black mist crawled across the floor. It was cold, moving like a living shadow. Evan stepped back. Evan stepped back. What is that? The mist rose upward, curling into the shape of a tall figure. Something thin, sharp, elegant. A woman's outline formed inside the dark fog. Pale skin. Red eyes. Armor with ancient symbols. Long white hair that flowed like smoke. She looked like she stepped out of a nightmare, beautiful, deadly, and unreal. Evan felt his throat tighten. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The woman's voice was soft, but it reached him like a whisper inside his mind. "Evan Hale. I found you." Evan froze. She knew his name. The mist faded, leaving her solid and standing only a few steps away. She was tall, strong, and her eyes glowed like burning stars. Evan took a step back. Who are you?" She tilted her head slightly, studying him like a rare creature. "I am Saraxa. First Warbride of the Crimson Line." Her voice was calm, too calm. Evan blinked. "Warbride?" Saraxa moved closer, her presence heavy and cold like deep space. "You called for a wife. A strong one. A protector." Evan's heart stopped. The joke. The joke he made at lunch. It couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. I didn't mean it," Evan whispered. "It was a joke." Saraxa's eyes glowed brighter. "In my culture, words are bond. A request spoken aloud travels through the old paths. I heard your call. And I accepted." Evan stepped back until his back touched the wall. "I didn't call anyone. I didn't summon you." Saraxa looked at him with a strange softness. "You did. And now I am here. You are my chosen." The station lights flickered again. Sparks flew from the wires overhead. The air vibrated with strange energy, like the station was struggling to hold her presence. Evan swallowed hard. "What do you want from me?" Saraxa slowly knelt in front of him, an ancient gesture of oath. Her armor touched the metal floor with a sharp sound. She placed her hand over her heart. "I have come to claim you as my husband." Evan stared at her, frozen between fear and disbelief. Saraxa continued. "For your words, I crossed the void. For your promise, I left my clan. For your call, I came alone into human space." Evan shook his head. "I didn't call you. I don't even know you." Her red eyes softened for the first time. "You will. And you will understand why fate chose you." Before Evan could answer, the station alarm changed tone. "Emergency. Enemy signal detected. Multiple ships inbound." Saraxa's face turned sharp and cold. "They followed me." Evan gasped. "Who?" She stood tall, her armor glowing with blood-red runes. "The hunters. They want you now, because you are mine." And for the first time in his life, Evan realized. His joke didn't just become real. It became dangerous. It became war. Alarms screamed across Titan Station as Saraxa stood tall like a shadow of war. Evan could barely breathe. She looked calm, even as chaos erupted around them, like she had lived her whole life inside battles. Evan's hands shook. "Saraxa, who are these hunters?" She didn't look at him. Her eyes were fixed on the metal doors shaking at the end of the corridor. "They are my enemies," she said quietly. "And now, they will come for you too." Evan felt his stomach drop. "For me? Why? I didn't do anything." Saraxa finally looked at him, her red eyes glowing. "Because you are my chosen. My vow makes you a target." Evan opened his mouth to speak, but the station lights suddenly shut off. Total darkness swallowed the hallway. Only Saraxa's glowing armor lit the space with red shadows. A deep, vibrating hum echoed through the metal walls, like giant beasts crawling outside the station. Evan whispered, "What is that sound?" Saraxa answered without emotion. "They're boarding hooks." Evan's heart almost stopped. The metal doors at the end of the corridor exploded inward. A wave of cold air swept through, carrying dust, smoke, and something else, something alive. Then came the hunters. Tall, thin creatures with black bone armor and glowing blue eyes. Their limbs were long and sharp, like knives attached to their bodies. They hissed as they entered the hallway, scanning the darkness. Evan stumbled back. "Oh God!" Saraxa stepped forward, blocking him with one arm. "Stay behind me." One hunter hissed louder, pointing at Evan. "Human male detected. Claim target located." Evan's blood froze. Saraxa's voice turned deadly. "You will not touch what is mine." The nearest hunter leaped at her with incredible speed. Saraxa didn't move. She simply raised her hand. A red shield of energy burst from her palm, transparent, sharp-edged, ancient. The hunter slammed into it and bounced back, smashing into the wall. Evan stared in shock. He had never seen anything like that. Not in any human tech. Not in any Earth science. Saraxa's voice was calm. "Evan. Listen carefully." He gulped. "Oh, okay. If they take you, you will never return. They will use you to break me." Evan's face went pale. "I don't want any of this. I don't want war." She turned her head slightly, her white hair floating like smoke. "War came because you spoke." Evan felt small. Weak. Completely unprepared. Saraxa continued. "But you are not alone now." Then, without warning, she launched herself forward. A shockwave blasted through the corridor. Her movements were too fast for Evan's eyes. She cut through the hunters with glowing red energy that extended like blades from her hands. Metal sparks flew, and alien screams echoed. One hunter tried to escape. Saraxa grabbed its throat. "Why chase him?" she demanded. The hunter hissed weakly. "He is the key. The prophecy calls him your anchor. He belongs to us." Saraxa crushed the creature's throat. "You will never have him." She dropped the body and turned back to Evan. Her expression softened for a moment. "You must trust me now." Evan didn't know what to say. He could barely breathe. "I don't even trust myself right now." But there was no time to argue. A new alarm rang out. "Warning! Outer hull breach. Enemy forces entering Sector 5. Evan's eyes widened. Sector 5, that's the reactor. If the hunters reached the reactor, the whole station would explode. Saraxa understood immediately. They seek destruction. They want to erase you. Evan felt a wave of panic. "We have to stop them." Saraxa nodded. "Stay close. Do not run. If you run, you die." She grabbed his wrist, her hand cold but strong, and pulled him into a service tunnel. The walls trembled as more hunters began tearing through the station. Evan's voice shook. "Saraxa, why me? Why would they want me? I was just joking." Saraxa slowed her steps for a moment. "Your voice carried through the old paths. Very few humans have the ability without knowing. It marks you, special." Evan blinked. "Special? I'm no one. I'm just an engineer." Saraxa stopped walking and looked at him fully. "No, Evan Hale. You are not just anything. You called a Warbride across galaxies without ritual. Without blood. Without preparation." Her eyes glowed deeper. "It means your soul is strong. And your destiny is greater than you know." Before Evan could reply, the tunnel shook violently. Metal screamed. A wall ahead ripped open, and 3 hunters emerged. Saraxa didn't think, she moved. She pushed Evan behind a crate and charged. Her body glowed with sharp red energy. The air cracked with power. Evan watched, terrified, amazed, confused. Saraxa moved like lightning, cutting down the first hunter, crushing the second, and throwing the third against the ceiling. But the last hunter was still alive. It pointed a glowing spear at Evan. Target sighted. Claiming now. Evan froze. Saraxa screamed his name. And in that final second, Evan realized. This wasn't about a joke anymore. This was about survival. This was about fate. This was about him. The hunter's glowing spear shot toward Evan like a streak of blue lightning. He threw his arms up in panic, knowing it was useless. But the spear never reached him. A crimson barrier exploded around Evan, wrapping him in a dome of red energy. The spear bounced off and shattered into dust. Evan's eyes widened. What was that?" Saraxa stood several steps away, breathing hard. She hadn't created the shield. Her eyes widened too. "Evan, that was not me." The hunter she had knocked against the ceiling fell to the floor and hissed weakly. "Impossible, the chosen awakens." Evan shook his head, terrified. No, I didn't do anything. I can't do magic, this is not real." Saraxa walked toward him slowly, her voice low, almost soft. "Your soul reacted. It protected you." Evan's hands buzzed with heat, like something inside him was waking up. He stared at his palms. Red sparks danced across his skin, then faded. "What is happening to me?" Saraxa didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were full of something new, fear. Not fear of Evan. Fear for him. Suddenly, the metal tunnel shook again. Loud footsteps echoed from the darkness ahead. More hunters, at least 10, were approaching. Saraxa grabbed Evan's arm. We must move now. Evan stumbled after her. But what about the station? The people here. They are already evacuating, she said. The hunters came for you, not them. Evan felt guilt twist his stomach. But this is my fault. Saraxa stopped and looked him straight in the eyes. No. This is your destiny. Not your fault. Before Evan could reply, the hunter's hiss filled the tunnel. Long shadows stretched across the walls. Saraxa pushed Evan through a side hatch and sealed it. Where does this lead? Evan asked. To a cargo shaft. It goes directly to the lower hangars. Why the hangars? Saraxa looked at him with a serious expression. Because we need to leave this station alive. Evan wanted to protest, but the sound of metal claws scraping behind the hatch changed his mind. They ran. The cargo shaft was a tall metal tube with ladders and maintenance platforms. Red emergency lights flashed every few seconds. Evan climbed down the ladder while Saraxa simply jumped from platform to platform with impossible grace. Halfway down the shaft, Evan heard something below. Voices. Human voices. He called out, "Hey! Anyone there?" A flashlight shone upward. It was Captain Mira Dalton, leader of Titan Station Security. She was tough, sharp-eyed, and not easily scared, but right now, she looked nervous. "Evan? What are you doing here?" she shouted. "We're evacuating to shuttles. Move." But then Mira saw Saraxa landing silently beside Evan. Mira froze. "What is that?" Saraxa bowed her head slightly. "I am not your enemy." Mira raised her weapon. That's exactly what an enemy would say. Before Mira could fire, Evan stepped between them. "Mira, she's helping me. If it wasn't for her, I'd be dead." Mira hesitated, eyes darting between them. But then the walls of the cargo shaft shook violently. The hunters were coming. Mira lowered her weapon. "Fine. But the second she tries anything." "She won't," Evan said quickly. Saraxa looked at Mira. "Your bravery is noted, human soldier. But you cannot stop what follows." Mira scowled. "Try me." The three of them climbed down the rest of the shaft until they reached the hangar level. Smoke filled the air. People were screaming and running toward emergency shuttles. But the hangar doors suddenly slammed shut. A dark mist seeped under the door edges. Evan's blood went cold. "Please tell me that's not Saraxa's mist." Saraxa shook her head. "No. That is theirs." The mist rose into the shape of something huge. A hunter, but different, larger, more armored, with glowing blue symbols on its chest. Mira whispered. "Oh no." This was a hunter commander. It pointed a long blade at Evan. "Chosen one. You belong to us. Your power is not meant for warbrides." Evan backed away. "Stop calling me that. I'm not chosen, I don't even understand what this is." The commander stepped forward. "You awakened the mark. It shines in your soul." Evan shouted, frustrated and scared. "I didn't awaken anything." The commander ignored him and raised its blade. "Claim him." Saraxa moved in front of Evan instantly. "You will not take him." The commander hissed. "You defy the prophecy, Saraxa of the Crimson Line." Evan blinked. You know her?" The commander's voice rumbled. "She is the last of her clan. The one who fled her throne." Saraxa's jaw tightened, but she did not respond. Evan looked at her. "Fled? Saraxa, what are you hiding?" The commander laughed. She did not come to you because of your joke, human. She came because she is hunted. And you? Its glowing eyes fixed on Evan. Are her shield. Saraxa's voice snapped with anger. Enough. Energy exploded from her armor. The commander raised its blade. And Evan stood between two enemies. One who wanted to claim him. One who wanted to protect him. But both of them had secrets. And Evan realized. He knew almost nothing about the woman who claimed him as her husband. The hunter commander swung its massive blade at Saraxa, and the hangar filled with the sound of metal cracking. Sparks flew as Saraxa blocked the blow with a crimson shield. Evan and Captain Mira backed away, shielding their eyes from the explosion of red and blue light. Mira shouted, "Evan! We need to get out, now!" But Evan couldn't move. His eyes were locked on Saraxa and the commander, their powers shaking the entire hangar. The ground vibrated under his feet. Saraxa pushed the commander back and yelled. "Take Evan to the shuttle." Mira grabbed Evan's arm. "Come on." She said, "Move." But Evan didn't move. He looked at Saraxa, not with fear this time, but with confusion, frustration, and a growing gut feeling. "Saraxa, did you really flee your throne?" Saraxa froze for a fraction of a second. That was all the commander needed. The giant creature slammed its fist into Saraxa's chest, throwing her across the hangar. She crashed through a metal crate and slid across the floor. Evan shouted, "Saraxa!" Mira aimed her blaster at the commander, but the giant creature raised a shield, blocking her shot like it was nothing. "You cannot protect him," it growled. "The chosen must return to the void. His power belongs to us." Evan yelled, breathless and confused. "Stop calling me chosen. I don't have power." The commander's blue eyes glowed. "You carry the old mark. It awakened when you spoke the vow." Evan shook his head. "What vow? I only made a stupid joke." The commander hissed. "In our laws, a spoken desire for union is a binding oath. Your voice reached the ancient paths. Only one soul in millions can do that." Evan's heart pounded. "So, I accidentally activated something?" The commander stepped forward. "Accident or not, it is done. Your energy awakened. And only we know how to use it." Mira fired again, trying to protect Evan. The blaster shot hit the commander's face. It did nothing. The commander grabbed Mira and threw her across the hangar. She hit the wall with a scream and fell, unconscious. Evan ran to her. "Mira! Mira, wake up!" No response. He turned toward Saraxa, who climbed out of the broken crate, blood dripping from her lip. Saraxa growled. "You will not touch him." Evan saw something change in her eyes, pain, anger, and something deeper, like shame. The commander laughed. "You fled your crown, Warbride. You fled your duty. You fled your clan. Now you hide behind a human." Saraxa tightened her fists. "He is not a shield." The commander pointed at Evan. "He is the key to your throne." Evan's world froze. What?" The commander continued. "Your clan believes the chosen one will restore your dying bloodline. They want him alive. But we want him dead." Evan's legs felt weak. He looked at Saraxa, really looked at her. "Saraxa, is that why you came? Because you needed me for your throne?" Saraxa's eyes softened with guilt. "No, Evan. I did not come for power." "But you didn't tell me the truth," he whispered. Before she could answer, the commander lunged at her again. Saraxa dodged the blade and kicked the creature's shoulder, sending cracks through its armor. She screamed at Evan. "Run! This is not your fight." But Evan didn't run. Not this time. Because something inside him, the same strange energy that protected him before, was rising again. His chest warmed, his palms tingled, and red sparks flickered around his fingers. He didn't understand it. He didn't want it. But he couldn't stop it. Evan! Move! Saraxa yelled. Evan clenched his fists. I'm tired of running. The commander turned toward him. You dare to stand? Evan felt the energy gather in his hands. I don't know what I am. But I'm not going with you. The commander raised its blade to strike him. Saraxa shouted. Evan! Evan thrust his hand forward by instinct. A red shockwave blasted out of him, stronger than before. It hit the commander like a thunderstrike, sending the massive creature skidding across the hangar floor and crashing into a shuttle hull. The metal dented under the force. Evan gasped and collapsed to one knee. His hands were smoking. Saraxa stared at him in shock. Mira groaned from the floor, waking up slowly. What happened? Evan whispered, panting. I don't know. I don't know what I just did. Saraxa walked to him and knelt. Her voice was soft, shaken. The old mark, it is waking. Faster than I expected. Evan looked up at her. You knew this could happen. Saraxa nodded. You should have told me, he said quietly. She lowered her head. I feared you would refuse me. And I cannot lose you. Not again. Again? Evan whispered. What do you mean, again? Saraxa closed her eyes. I knew you, long before you were born. Evan felt his heart stop. The hangar went silent. Even the wounded commander paused. Evan whispered. What are you talking about? Saraxa opened her eyes, filled with centuries of sorrow. Evan, your soul and mine are bound. You lived before. And you died because of me. Evan froze. He didn't breathe. He didn't blink. The truth hit him like a cold wave. This wasn't the first time they met. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't fate. It was a return. A reunion from another life. Evan's mind raced. The word Saraxa had spoken, about a life before, a death, a bond, refused to make sense. You knew me before, he whispered, shaking. Saraxa nodded slowly, her crimson armor dimmed to a soft glow. Yes. Long ago, in a world far from this one, you were mine. And I failed you. Evan's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to fight, to run, but the truth pinned him down like a weight he could not lift. Failed me? He asked, voice trembling. Yes, Saraxa admitted. In the last war, I couldn't protect you. You died because I hesitated. I swore I would never let it happen again. That vow followed me through the stars, until I heard your voice calling me, even as a joke. Evan swallowed hard. A joke, but it wasn't really a joke, was it? My voice, my soul, it reached you. Saraxa knelt beside him, her eyes softer than before. It reached me because our souls are bound. The old mark recognized you. You are the chosen, the only one who can awaken what was lost. The hangar trembled as a deafening roar filled the air. The hunter commander rose slowly, battered but alive. Its blue eyes glowed brighter than ever, and its voice echoed like thunder. You cannot hide from fate, Warbride. The chosen is mine. He belongs to the void. Step aside, or be destroyed. Saraxa's voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Never. You will never take him. Evan's heart pounded. His hands began to tingle again, sparks flickering along his fingers. He didn't understand the power, but instinct told him to fight. Evan! Saraxa shouted. Do not hold back. Evan nodded. Fear surged through him, but so did determination. The memory of the past life, of death and failure, gave him courage. The commander lunged with incredible speed. Saraxa intercepted, their energies colliding in a burst of red and blue light. The shockwave threw Evan back, slamming him against a shuttle. Pain shot through his body, but he felt something else, an awakening. He raised his hands. Red light poured from his palms, surrounding him. It wasn't just protection this time, it was power. Raw, ancient, unstoppable. The hunters hissed in unison, retreating slightly. The commander snarled. "What is this?" Evan's voice shook, yet rang stronger than ever. I am not just your shield. I am the one who will end you." The old mark glowed across his chest, a fiery symbol pulsing with each heartbeat. Energy surged outward, tearing through the hangar. Sparks flew, lights shattered, and the ground cracked beneath them. Saraxa looked at him, awe in her eyes. You have awakened fully." Evan felt his body lift slightly, hovering above the floor. The energy radiating from him forced the commander back, grinding its armored feet against the metal. "You cannot defeat me," the commander roared, struggling to stay upright. "Yes, I can," Evan whispered. His voice was calm, cold, yet charged with power. "Because I have a second chance. And I will not die again." Saraxa moved beside him, energy crackling along her armor. "Together," she said. They launched forward in perfect synchronization. Red and blue energy intertwined, striking the commander like a thunderstorm. Metal cracked, armor shattered, and the massive creature stumbled backward. Evan's powers flared uncontrollably, igniting the hangar in blinding light. He saw flashes of memories, not just his own, but Saraxa's, fighting battles across galaxies, surviving betrayals, losing and regaining hope. Every memory filled him with strength. The commander roared one last time, swinging its massive blade. Evan raised a hand, sending a concentrated burst of energy that shattered the weapon and struck the creature directly. It fell to the floor, broken, defeated, but not destroyed. Evan collapsed to his knees, gasping. Red sparks died down, leaving him exhausted but alive. Saraxa knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she said softly, her eyes filled with pride and relief. "You survived, and you awakened fully." Evan looked at her, confusion still clouding his mind. Why me? Why now?" Saraxa took a deep breath, the weight of centuries in her gaze. "Because fate gave us another chance, Evan. Another life to correct what was lost. The void wants to claim you, but now, with your power, we have the choice. We can fight. We can win. And this time, nothing will separate us." Evan nodded slowly, feeling the truth settle in him. He wasn't just a human engineer anymore. He was more. He was a force. A protector. A chosen one. Behind them, the hangar was in ruins. Smoke filled the air, but no one dared approach. The hunters had retreated, for now. Evan stood, shaky but determined. He looked at Saraxa. "Then, we fight. Together." Saraxa smiled faintly, her red eyes glowing brighter. "Yes, together. And nothing will stop us." But as Evan took his first step toward understanding his new power, a shadow flickered in the distance, far beyond the hangar doors. Something ancient, something older than the hunters, was watching. And it was waiting. The hangar was silent, except for the distant alarms and the hiss of cooling machinery. Evan and Saraxa stood among the wreckage, their breaths heavy. The hunters had retreated, leaving only broken metal and scorched floors behind. Evan's hands still glowed faintly from the energy he had unleashed. He looked around, uneasy. "Is it over?" he asked. Saraxa shook her head. Her crimson eyes were sharp, scanning the shadows beyond the shattered hangar doors. No, Evan. That was only the beginning. Something far older than the hunters is watching us now. Evan swallowed hard. Older? How old? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped forward, touching a damaged control panel. The screen flickered, showing strange readings in the void outside the station. They are not just watching, they are testing us, she said. Waiting for a moment to strike when we are weak. Evan's chest tightened. And, what if we are not ready? Saraxa's expression darkened. Then Titan Station, and everyone on it, will be lost. Suddenly, the metal walls trembled violently. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The lights flickered and died, plunging the hangar into darkness. Evan's pulse raced. What now? He whispered. A low, deep hum filled the air. It was different from the hunters, deeper, heavier, almost alive. Shadows stretched along the walls, forming shapes that made Evan's stomach twist. Out of the darkness, a figure emerged. It was enormous, taller than any ship in the hangar. Its eyes glowed a pale, icy blue, and its presence radiated power that made the floor beneath them crack. Evan whispered, "What is that?" Saraxa's lips pressed into a thin line. "The shadow beyond the stars," she said. "It is older than my clan, older than the hunters, older than many worlds. It watches the chosen." The creature stepped closer. Its voice was a cold, echoing whisper that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "You awakened too soon, human." Evan took a step back, feeling the pull of the creature's presence, like gravity doubled and pressed on his chest. I didn't awaken anything," he shouted. The shadow laughed, low and terrifying. "You cannot deny what is in your blood. The mark shines in your soul, and now it calls to us. You are the key to powers you cannot control, powers that could destroy or save worlds." Saraxa placed a hand on Evan's shoulder, her grip firm. "You are stronger than you think, Evan. You've survived the hunters. Now you will survive this. Trust your instincts." Evan swallowed, fear mixing with determination. Instincts, right. The shadow advanced, its massive form moving with impossible speed. Each step sent tremors through the floor. Evan felt the air pressure change, his ears ringing. "Evan Hale," it whispered. "Your life has been claimed before. I offer you another choice. Give yourself to me, and your power will be complete. Refuse, and you die, and everything you love with you." Evan's heart raced. The weight of the past, of his previous life, of Saraxa's presence, and of this impossible moment crushed him. But then he remembered the vow, the energy that had protected him, the bond he shared with Saraxa. "No," he said firmly. His voice rang through the hangar. "I choose my own path. I choose to protect, not to obey some shadow you cannot even understand." Saraxa's eyes widened, a mixture of pride and concern. "Good, but be ready, Evan. It will not let your choice go unchallenged." Evan focused on the energy within him, feeling it burn brighter than ever before. The old mark pulsed across his chest. Sparks of crimson light surged along his arms. He felt a surge of strength and clarity he had never known. The shadow roared, a sound that shook the station to its core. Its massive claws slashed through the air, tearing metal and concrete. Evan dodged instinctively, sending blasts of red energy from his hands that collided with the creature's icy force. Saraxa moved beside him, her armor glowing bright red. Together, they struck as one. Her energy blades clashed against the shadow's claws, while Evan's raw power surged outward in waves. The hangar shook violently. Sparks flew. Cracks spread across the walls. Outside, the void of space seemed to warp under the shadow's presence. Evan felt his mind expand, memories and instincts flooding him from the past life and this one. He understood for the first time the responsibility, the danger, and the power within him. "You cannot win," the shadow whispered, voice now tinged with curiosity. "Yet you resist. Why?" Evan's voice was steady, filled with resolve. "Because I choose to protect those I love. I choose to fight for life, not domination. That is power enough." The shadow paused, considering his words. For a long moment, the hangar was silent except for the hum of the energies clashing. Evan and Saraxa stood ready, side by side. Then the shadow slowly withdrew into the darkness beyond the hangar doors, its pale blue eyes fading. Its voice echoed one final time. "This is only the beginning. The universe watches. And so do I." Evan collapsed to his knees, drained but alive. Saraxa crouched beside him, brushing dust from his shoulder. "You did it," she whispered. "You faced the impossible, and survived." Evan looked at her, eyes wide. "Survived, but it's not over, is it?" Saraxa shook her head, her crimson eyes determined. "No, Evan. It's never over. But we are ready. Together, we will face whatever comes next." Evan clenched his fists, feeling the power inside him stabilize. "Then let them come. We won't run this time." In the shadows beyond the hangar, the universe seemed to stir. Something ancient had taken notice of the chosen, and it was only just beginning to awaken. The hangar was silent now, but the air still vibrated with the remnants of energy from Evan's last clash. Sparks flickered across the ceiling, and the shattered metal doors groaned under the pressure of the void outside. But this calm was only temporary. Evan stood beside Saraxa, his chest still glowing faintly with the old mark. He felt the weight of his destiny pressing down on him. The shadow beyond the stars had retreated, but its warning echoed in his mind, "This is only the beginning." Evan clenched his fists. "So, this is it," he said quietly. "The final test." Saraxa's crimson eyes met his, filled with determination and something softer, trust, hope, and an unspoken bond. "No, Evan," she said. "This is not just a test. This is our chance to finish what began centuries ago. To reclaim what was lost, and protect what must survive." Suddenly, alarms blared again. Not the station alarms, something deeper, sharper. The air rippled as a massive ship appeared above the hangar, dark and jagged, bristling with alien weapons. From its shadowy hull, a fleet of hunters poured out, led by the commander Evan had faced before, but larger, stronger, enhanced with unknown technology. Evan felt a surge of fear, but also something else. Power. Responsibility. "They came for me," he said, voice steady. "And now we fight." Saraxa nodded. Together. The hunters attacked in waves. Blades clashed with energy shields. Metal exploded under crimson and blue lights. Saraxa moved like a storm, cutting through enemies with deadly precision. Evan followed instinctively, his own powers flaring wildly, red sparks burning brighter with each strike. But then, the commander appeared, larger and more terrifying than ever, its glowing blue eyes fixed on Evan. "You think your childish power can stop me?" it roared. "You are only human." Evan's heart thundered. He could feel the old fear creeping in, but he remembered Saraxa's words, "Trust your instincts. Trust yourself." He focused, letting the energy of the old mark flow freely. Red waves of light surged outward, blasting hunters backward. The commander lunged, swinging its massive blade, but Evan raised his hands. Energy surged around him like a storm, forming a glowing barrier that resisted every attack. Saraxa joined him, her armor burning like molten fire. She leapt onto the commander, striking its chest with a blade of pure red energy. The creature howled in pain but countered with its own strike, splitting the air with an ear-shattering roar. Evan felt his mind fill with images from his past life, the battles he had fought, the vows he had made, and the promise to protect Saraxa no matter what. Every memory strengthened him, every failure ignited him with determination. "You cannot defeat me," the commander screamed. "Yes, I can," Evan said, his voice calm but full of power. "Because I fight for love, not fear." He thrust both hands forward, releasing a concentrated blast of energy unlike anything before. The old mark glowed violently across his chest. Red light enveloped the commander, tearing it apart from inside. Metal screamed, energy exploded, and the monstrous creature fell, defeated, but the explosion sent Evan and Saraxa flying backward. They landed hard, both breathing heavily, but alive. Around them, the remaining hunters hesitated, stunned by the destruction of their leader. Slowly, one by one, they retreated into the void, leaving the hangar silent once more. Evan looked at Saraxa. "We did it?" Saraxa nodded, brushing dust from her armor. Her red eyes softened, a rare smile appearing on her face. "Yes, for now. But the universe is vast, Evan. More will come. Stronger. Older. But together, we are stronger than anything they can throw at us." Evan took a deep breath, finally feeling the weight of the past lift. I understand now. I'm not just a human engineer. I'm the chosen. And with you." Saraxa stepped closer, placing a hand on his chest, directly over the old mark. "You are mine, Evan Hale. In this life, in the next, and for every eternity to come." Evan looked into her crimson eyes, understanding the depth of the vow. "Then I will stand by you. Always." She smiled softly. "Then we begin, a new life, a new fight, together." The hangar lights flickered back on. Outside, Titan Station slowly returned to its quiet state, though the scars of battle remained. Evan looked at the horizon beyond the station windows. Stars stretched endlessly, countless worlds awaiting their protection. A sense of purpose surged through him. The shadow beyond the stars had watched. The hunters had tested them. But Evan and Saraxa had survived. Together, they were unstoppable. Evan clenched his fists, feeling the energy pulse through his veins, the old mark burning brighter than ever. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "And I am ready." Saraxa's hand found his. Together, they turned to face the stars. Whatever waited in the universe, they would meet it head-on. Not as hunter and hunted, not as master and shield, but as partners. And somewhere, deep in the void, an ancient presence stirred. It had seen the chosen awaken, and it knew, this was no longer a simple joke. This was destiny. And destiny had chosen them.